at you. I have to look this
Hey,
way, but
Bob.
looking this way. Hey, Jen. It's great to see you.
Great to see you
Um,
too.
I'm here in my home office in Ponte Vedra, Florida, and you are where you've always been
Yep,
there,
Edison, New Jersey.
Edison. Well, we're happy to be here. It helps us feel normal, doesn't it, to be
Yeah.
able to do Facebook Live, and hopefully we'll have some friends joining us today. It's been an interesting week so far. I know the numbers are going crazy with the pandemic. So certainly eager to hear what's going on for people who join us
Yeah.
on this Facebook Live. It's crazy, right? That we thought things were getting better. And then I live in Florida and it's like 10,000 people a day are being diagnosed with this virus.
Yeah. It's crazy. God, just keep your mask on, people, please.
Yeah.
So it's sad.
So here we are. It's at the top of the hour, almost.
Almost 2:59.
Yeah. So just crazy time. I still have my transparent mask, which people are liking. Show us yours.
So I got kind of silly. I have one of those generic ones, and I saw somebody do this. One of my Facebook friends. It says, "I'm smiling," because
I love it.
Hell, except for the wrinkles around the eye, and then I literally put lip liner here.
I mean, this is really changing things up, isn't it? Lipstick sales are going to go down, probably. And
Except for Zoom.
Yeah, right. Except for Zoom. And then, we're hearing things like singing is now a bad thing. Can't sing because when you sing, droplets come out of your mouth, and it puts other people in danger.
Unless you're our friend Helen, and you're singing on Zoom.
Yeah, I guess I think that part of the theme for today is to start thinking about this current way we're living each day as kind of our new normal indefinitely. I for one, have been kind of resisting thinking about that, thinking like, oh boy, that's going to be a fact of our lives for a while. What do you think? Have you begun going towards that?
Yeah, I'm not honestly, I'm not crying when I get out of the car from a grocery shopping expedition anymore. I'm just like, all right, this is the way it is. But we're really strict here in Jersey about this. So seeing more and more people, we're not wearing gloves to the grocery store. We were like kind of sterile. There were gloves in the parking lots for a while.
Yeah.
It was bad. Yeah, Beth says, you don't want to hear me sing anyway.
Yeah. Hey, Beth. Good to see you. Good to see you. So we're talking about, like, is this going to be the thing? Is this now our life? And if it is, what do we need to sustain it going forward? What equipment do we need? What new systems do we need to put in place? Like, if in fact it's this everybody staying at home or a hybrid way of working where it's very limited access into the office. And, I've been hearing from assistants, for example, who've been saying that they've had very intermittent one-on-one contact with their executives. And that seems to have been the case because we've been in an emergency, right? And everybody's been in an emergency. But now it still is an emergency, but we're kind of more used to it. And so what does that meaning? Beth, I'm curious if you have anything to share, about whether you're having regular one-on-ones. Has that been the case in the beginning? Or is it something that, we really should begin that again? We should do that so that we can get in some kind of new normal schedule and way of working. with our executives and with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of getting my mind ready to think, oh, well, we're going to be ready to start traveling again and going beyond state lines. And I don't think so. Not for a while. We just made the decision that B2A San Francisco, there's just no way to go to San Francisco on September 17 and 18. And so we're doing it as a virtual class. So Beth, if you're interested in that, we sure welcome you to be with us. It's just the way it's churning, isn't it? It's all about pivoting and figuring out how we're going to get our work done, do our lives in this new way. Boy, it's hard to think about when are we going to be able to hug again, and are shaking hands a thing of the past? So Beth says one-on-ones only happen for me once every 2 weeks and over the phone.
Wow.
I guess the question is that enough?
Right. Is that enough for you? Yeah. There's so much to be said for this, the FaceTime and seeing people's emotions. I know
seems like that isn't a lot, right?
It's not. I mean, that human touch. I mean, the human touch is so powerful. A hug or shaking a hand, or if you see somebody doing, like, we do the elbow, we joke, we were going to a graduation tomorrow and we're going to be bumping elbows with people. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bump elbows. I'm going to practice like the soccer kick with a couple of parents. You'd be like, so nice to see you if I can't hug you.
I used to say that, going to the movie theater, going to the movies will never go out of style because we all have a need for human contact. In a million years, I never thought that movie theaters would be shut down, or that Broadway and the West End in London shut down. Hey, Claudia, great to see you. You're communicating via text and quick phone calls, as well as color coding and email. And, I know it's really busy, but is that enough for you? Is that enough contact? Because if it's not, I would, be a proponent of asking your executive for 15 minutes once a week, just to figure out a time, if that's what you need. And if you don't need it, then that's a whole other story. But pre-pandemic, assistants were meeting once a day, once every couple of days, and it varied. It's all very subjective about what works for every assistant. Claudia, we were just talking about, what if this is going to be our life for a while, like for a long while? Can this, whatever this is, can this be sustained?
Right.
Then you and I had already been working over Zoom for a few years. So we didn't really miss a beat when it came to that. Right? That was pretty easy.
Yeah. No, it was pretty easy for us. Yeah, Claudia saying they're able to attend biweekly leadership meetings.
Yeah. And how about reviews? Are reviews happening? Have there been systems that have been disrupted because of the pandemic? And, who the heck knows when they're going to come back? We don't know. And I believe that assistants have a great opportunity to call that shot and to say, you know what, we need to put that into place, and we need to begin this again.
Yeah.
On how to best conduct the job.
Yeah. Any specific advice on how to best conduct a job search for a high-end executive assistant?
Yeah. Whatever city you're in, this would apply whether you are the assistant looking for new work or you are seeking an assistant. Certainly social media is key. LinkedIn is critical for job searching, and the recruiters are going to say that your resume should be as detailed as you can get it, and that your LinkedIn profile needs to match that. The good news is and Deborah, I'm not sure where you're located. Perhaps you can tell me your city. I'm hearing some really interesting news about job opportunities that are bubbling. The leaders need assistance right now, and in times of volatility, hiring is still happening. And by the way, some companies for sure assistants have been asked to take pay cuts, or there have been 20% cuts across the board. But in many other companies, the hiring is happening, and there doesn't need to be a pullback on the amount that is being paid. Certainly, the Silicon Valley and is still actively hiring. New York is still slow.
And Deborah, if this is you, for either side of this scenario, you can go to the B2A Facebook page and post, if you're looking for a job, hashtag need a job, with a link to your LinkedIn, profile, or wherever your resume may be.
Yeah.
Or if you have a job and you're looking for someone, hashtag have a job, and we'll help you, kind of get it out there also.
Right.
Doing that.
It's interesting. You certainly live in a specific city, but right now I'm hearing about positions that it doesn't matter where you are. Boy, talk about a global search. I mean, I think to be in the same time zone as the corporate office would be useful. I was just hearing about a diversity and inclusion director position open in Santa Monica, California, but the person could be based anywhere, but needs to go to Santa Monica.
Long Island.
Willing to relocate for the right opportunity. Okay. Recruiters. Melba Duncan.
Yep.
I have a list. We've got the whole list of recruiters that I put together for the webinar series, and how will I do that?
So I'm going to post Melba in here. And then
shoot me an email and I will send it as an attachment, Bonnie@BonnieLow-Kramen.com. And then, what I'm wondering, has Claudia, Beth, Deborah, have any of you spoken to HR? I've been a big proponent of that EAs should talk directly to HR and be helpful about all the big time volatility that exists in the workplace. And I just wondered, how was that received? Was that received positively or negatively? I know in one case it wasn't received very well. She was asked, don't you have enough to do? So short-sighted, so crazy.
Goodness.
I know. So I think, is this the way it's going to be? It could be for a lot of companies are saying they're definitely not going back until 2021. And so there's a distance between here and 2021. So the question for me becomes, what do we need in order to make that work? It's no longer a quick fix. And if we're not getting the time with our executives, if we need more one-on-one time with our team, this would definitely be the time to say something. Deborah is saying that she's worked with Melba. Melba's awesome. And I've been in touch with her recently. She was a guest on our webinar series, and she's eager for resumes. But recruiters are a lot like realtors in that they all have different postings. So it really serves you to reach out to different recruiters because they're all dealing with different jobs.
Right.
Okay. So Claudia, HR has been very receptive. Were they happily surprised that you were coming forward with some ideas? And I would be really curious to know, what was it that you proposed? And they said, yeah, Claudia, awesome.
That's great. That's great.
I think we need to do that more. And I continue to talk with HR directors, and it's chaotic at best because the conversation is all about when do we go back into the office and how do we keep people safe and how do we protect those who are at higher risk than other people. And on the webinar, I was showing those wristbands that you had talked about.
Yeah,
the different
I found.
colors,
Yeah,
red, yellow.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Were you going to say
So
something?
they actually, so a gentleman in one of my networking groups works for a company who does office furniture. And we were talking about, I know we've talked about this in the past, but we were talking about how the ethical, right? The open space turning into, no, now we need like our space. We need to be like protected in our space now.
Right.
And they're saying how they're retrofitting in some offices with plexiglass. So I remember years ago, we had those in our cubbies. In our offices, we had those cubbies, and it was like fabric. It was like upholstery.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
now they're putting plexiglass extenders to make the dividers higher.
Kind of like what they're doing at the supermarkets.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They're doing that. And in my head, I was thinking, assistants are always we're the implementers, right? And I'm thinking, wow, when it was realized that everybody needed so much plexiglass, where are those companies? Like, how do you all of a sudden overnight get 1,000 pieces of plexiglass that you can drill into this? Like, I started thinking, what a tactical nightmare.
Right.
So Claudia is saying that you've worked together on pulling together mini town halls, criteria for travel. We have folks working at hospitals and labs. I mean, that's the way it should be, isn't it? That executive assistants should work in concert and in collaboration and cooperation with assistants. I mean, it makes just total sense to do that. It's a win-win, isn't it? Everybody wins if that happens, as opposed to doing this.
Right.
So I wanted to tell you about a conversation I had on Monday. It was with a woman named Clementine. And Clementine is one of our webinar viewers, and she lives in Rwanda, Africa. And I was so excited and moved that she wanted to be involved in the webinar series. She works at a school in Rwanda. And she also insisted on, I was telling her about the B2A on demand class because she can't come to a Be the Ultimate Assistant in-person workshop being in Africa.
Sure.
So she was excited to know that that B2A is now going to be an on-demand class starting in August. And so she is now one of our students for that. And we were, she had some questions about her work. And I thought, you know what? Let's Zoom. Let's try to Zoom. And sometimes internet connections are not very strong between Africa and the United States. Any of you on the call may know that if you've worked with Africa. But we thought, you know what? Let's give it a try. Let's do that. And so we did. And the connection was a little dicey, but we managed to connect for about a half an hour. And what was so interesting is that the questions Clementine's asking me as a 40-something-year-old assistant supporting her executives was asking the same questions that I get from assistants in Chicago or New York or Nebraska. Clementine wanted my point of view on, are things ever going to go back to what we remember pre-pandemic? Or is this a whole new thing? And it's scary. She's married and kids, and we're all looking at our lives and wondering, like, what do we need to do? And so she, like so many assistants in this situation and pre-pandemic, she's been at her school for 10 years, but she's about to onboard her 5th executive in that time. So she's had, not from anything bad, but just turnover at the school. And we were talking about, well, how does she show her value? And that question comes up all the time. How does she prove her value? We talked about her institutional knowledge with 10 years at the school, but we also talked about something that comes up at B2A, which is the notion of a user manual. a user manual. It's kind of like a cheat sheet between us. You know, you and I have been working together for 7 years, and I learned something about you today that I didn't know before. So on this cheat sheet, on this user manual, it's for both the executive and the assistant. Mm-hmm. And it asks personal questions, but it also asks the business questions. Mm. What's your preferred method of communication? That's a great question. When are you at your highest energy? You know, just because you're working 8 hours, 10 hours a day doesn't mean you're at your best. You know, my time is 5 a.m, as you know from the emails that I send you.
Right.
But one of the questions is, if someone were to give you a snack or your favorite snack or your favorite gift, what would that be? And you shared, what did you share with me?
Right. So I'm not the flower person. I'm the plant. I want to plant because I want to see something that I can help grow and thrive.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You will never get flowers from me again.
If I could make them turn into flowers, great. That's my goal.
Got it. But it's interesting. I wonder what you think about this. Questions, it could be, there are personal questions, and you could design this user manual. However, but when you're getting a new executive, many assistants have, you know, like the form that gets filled out, you know, what's your American Express card number? What are your frequent flyer numbers? And that's all awesome. But questions like, and I'm just looking at my other monitor, what's been the hardest thing about the pandemic? What astrological sign are you? What's your favorite movie? What kind of music do you like? What's your favorite thing about having an assistant? And then I love these 2 questions. How do I win with you? How do I lose with you? That's a really interesting thing. And how are you on your worst day?
Ooh.
Love that. Long fuse or short fuse? Mm-hmm. Coffee or tea? What are your pet peeves? What do you think of those questions, Jen?
Yeah. No, I like it. I love it. Like, do you need music? Do you want music on in your office?
Do you like it quiet, or would you like music on?
Right. Do you want me to? Right. Do you want to work to classical, or do you want it quiet, or earbuds or speakers?
There are all kinds of preferences, and I feel as if a form like this could really help cut to the chase on, you know, somebody. Like, let me tell you what bugs me, as opposed to having to trip over it and then like, all right, now never let that happen again, kind of thing. Like, you know, what's one of my pet peeves, Jen?
Oh, you got to be able to find it in 5 minutes, less than 5.
The 5-minute rule.
Right. The 5 minutes.
Any folder, any phone number, any picture.
Yep.
But how about typos?
Oh boy, yeah. You've handed that over to me. And when you call, don't assume that the person can talk. You have to ask them if they have a minute to talk.
Do I do that?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Hey. Okay, so Beth is saying, what do you take with your coffee? I love to have his ready when he walks in, especially if he's stressed. Yeah, that's right. And we are in such a stressful situation right now. I'm not sure I've ever experienced a time in my career when it's been prolonged, right? We've been living with this since March. So when stress is high, that's when we, especially most humans, need the creature comforts, you know, like their coffee just the way they like it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's a kindness. That's not, I don't see that as being subservient. I don't see that as anything other than being really helpful, right, and considerate about what matters to you. And I think it works both ways. I love the idea that executives would fill this out, but also assistants would fill this out too, so that I get to know what is a pet peeve for you. And, you know, over our 7 years, I have figured that out. Oh, we're getting lots of comments.
Oh, yeah. So Donna said, I started my position in NOB. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
Works for Dr. Christopher. Wow.
And do you feel ageism is a real issue? Regrettably, Deborah is asking about ageism. Yes, ageism is a thing. It absolutely exists. However, what I'm seeing in this situation and among recruiters, it is about communicating on your resume that you have the skills. The reason assistants are getting downsized and laid off, it's not because of age usually. It's because of skills that have gone stagnant and stale. I spoke, here's one example. I spoke with an assistant this morning in London, England. She's with a big company that you would all know. And when the pandemic hit, the whole company was asked to take 20% pay cuts, which she did. And she was supporting 2 board of directors. A new board of director came on, and she stepped up. She volunteered to support that 3rd person. And she thought, you know what? That's the kind of person she is. I call that kind of person the person who walks towards the problem as opposed to away from the problem. So it didn't matter to her that she had the 20% pay cut. She was volunteering anyway. Well, you know what happened last week? One of those first board of directors was furloughed. So she no longer had him, but the last one she volunteered to support was now so busy that it really seems that her job is very secure now, even though there are rumors of more furloughs. So she didn't do it for that reason. But so about ageism, it's not as present for executive assistants around the world because has been so much about the skills that you're bringing to the table. You know, do you know Teams? Are you really adept with Zoom? Can you help with the technology? Are you certified? You know, this situation has really put into clear view a new whole set of skills that are needed. So that's what I feel about that. That's what I'm seeing. And the recruiter, it matters about the experience and the skills you have, because a seasoned assistant, you're kind of unshockable. And it really is about your resilience and your ability to move with this new situation. That's what I think. Claudia, stale skills are a killer. Yeah. Vicki Evans is who Claudia is talking about. Fantastic. Oh my God, Vicki, I just got off the phone with her a few minutes ago. She is so crazy busy. What she's saying is that to know themes in Word, and which translate into PowerPoint, and to get certified is really being the differentiator between candidates. It's very exciting what's going on. So if you love Microsoft Office, chances are your company will pay for you to get certified. And Vicki Evans, redcapeco.com.
We were just talking about that the other day, and I took out my book with all my Post-it notes in here.
Oh, that's your book. I keep mine right by my desk. Vicki's book is just sensational. Oh, Donna is saying that she started in November, not NOB.
Gotcha.
In November. Yeah. Yeah. So do use the user manual. Here's my point about this. Even if you've been working with your executive for years, my point is that this situation, if you've been working side by side every day and now all of a sudden you're not, it has changed up a lot of things about your partnership.
Yeah.
And for that reason, it could be that you hit the reset button and say, you know what, Joe, I think we ought to begin again. I'd like to begin again. And I've created this form. And, you know, even if someone is not, you know, an extrovert, not eager to say, you know, what's been hard about the pandemic, it's valuable for you to know, because now people are home with their kids and maybe their parents, or you don't. Here's my theory. My theory is that as much as we know about somebody, and we all put people in boxes, we think we know who you are. I believe there's an equal amount that we don't know, and we probably shouldn't know. But in this situation where now we're distanced from each other,
right.
We're at our homes, there's a whole new set of circumstances that is difficult to get a handle on unless somebody tells you.
Right.
And Jen, you and I do this all the time. We share what's going on with us personally so that we have a filter and we know, like, oh, it's not me. Right?
Right.
Kind of like that.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Like the reset button.
My skill set is great. I make excellent and a quick learner. Deborah, good for you. Then it's about tapping into your network. It's still true that 65% of all new jobs are gotten through networking, through events just like this. So, Deborah, where'd you say you are? You are in, if you worked with Dr. Kissinger, are you talking about you're in DC, maybe? If I'm taking a guess, tell me what city you're in. If you're in the DC area, one of the best recruiters I know there is Denise Bloomfield and Company.
Right.
She is terrific. Oh, Beth, I'm glad you like the reset button. I really think there's no harm in saying, I think this situation is going to go on for a while, and therefore, why don't we have a conversation about what are we going to do now? Like kind of pretend you're at the beginning again.
Yeah.
It's a new day.
Up a little.
It's a new day, and with new, like nobody stands still. I was with Olympia Dukakis for 25 years. Nobody stands still, and the situation changes. All right. Oh my gosh, we're almost at 3:30.
It goes so fast.
I want, so Jen, in the chat, you're going to put that link, right?
Yes, I am again. Yes, I am.
Thank you. So I mentioned that I'm so excited that Vicki Evans and I, who is brilliant with technology, she and I teach the Be the Ultimate Assistant workshops. And starting in August, the class will be available on demand. So you get to watch it in the comfort of your home. And the link on the screen and that Jen is putting in the chat is to sign up to be one of the first to get notified about this. And there's going to be a very low pre-sale price. And we're so excited that this training will finally get to everyone in the English-speaking world. Deborah, you said you are in, you said you're Long Island. Okay. So Melba Duncan, absolutely. And then if you send me an email, I'll send you that handout that I created with a lot of recruiters on there. Tali Russell is on there from Silverchair Partners. There are so many, what's interesting is that even when some recruiters are located in other parts of the United States, they deal with jobs in other areas. So, Benita, hi. Oh, I'm so happy glad you're here. We're having a lot of fun with this, aren't we, Jen?
Yeah.
We haven't done this before. I mean, we do over our 7 years together. We've done a bunch of events, but Facebook Live feels really important to do. And if masks are a part of our lives, this is, honestly, I'm worried about communication. I think this is the future.
You can see Bonnie smile, but I'm telling you, I'm smiling.
We have to be able to hear each other. Oh, I'm so glad you were happy to be here. So next Wednesday, 3:00 Eastern time, join us, bring your coffee. And, Jen and I just want to talk about with you to put our heads together about how to navigate, like what's the news of the day and what do we think about it? And how can we do this better with our executives and with our teams? Because I think there's that quote I used in the webinar that we'd better get used to working in the rain, that we'd better get an umbrella because it's raining. And who better to pivot and to figure this out but assistants?
Absolutely.
You can bring wine. Absolutely, bring wine.
No judgment.
I'm just like the cheapest drunk ever. So I have like the teeniest, tiniest thing. It's so sad. It's just so sad.
And my horoscope is lots of water, so I need more.
All right, you guys. Bonnie at BonnieLow-Kramen.com. If you want to communicate with me, it's nice to be able to laugh for a little bit on a Wednesday afternoon. Jen, thank you so much, and I will talk to you very soon too, ma'am.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hopefully, and join us again, and tell your friends and your colleagues. See you next week, 3 p.m.
All right. And join the mailing list for B2A On Demand.
Yes.
We'd love to have you with us.
Absolutely. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Jen.
Sure, Bon.